Hello and welcome to another Baldur's Gate 3 build video. In this video I'll be showing you my ultimate support Ranger-Cleric build. So if you've been looking for a build that complements really well with majority of the other builds in the game that is purely focused on casting powerful buffs and also having consistent healing throughout the entire game, so that it's not a build that's going to be the face of the party and focus on dealing the most damage, but instead supporting it. Or maybe if you have one of your friends in the co-op campaign is looking for a support character, this might just be the build for you. Alright, let's get into the character creation ability scores on the first level. So far as the character creation goes, it doesn't really matter all that much with what character you go with, as this most likely will not be your main face of the party. This will be a side character focused on supporting and buffing the rest of the party. So for example, in my case, I show Shadowheart as she is my follower. I chose her to be the support of the party. For our first level, we'll be actually going Live Domain Cleric. You can choose any of the other domains you wish. I thought this one was most thematic and closest to being the ultimate support. We want to go Cleric here as we want the very powerful Bless spells that we can make even more powerful as we get a certain item. Unfortunately, Subless feature won't really work for us all that much, as we will not be focusing on healing with spells but health potions, because health potions scale relatively well throughout the entire game. Also, about the Live Cleric, what is nice is you get armor proficiencies for pretty much all of the armors. You get some weapons from your class, some from your race. We'll get the rest of the weapon proficiencies with our multiclass at level 2. For our starting cantrips, we went with Guidance, Resistance, and Light. Guidance and Resistance, self-explanatory, just all-around amazing cantrips for outside of combat. While Light is a really good cantrip for Act 2, and it can be useful for Act 3. For our ability scores, I went with 17 Dexterity, 16 Constitution, 14 Wisdom, and 10 Strength. Now, reason for relatively low Wisdom is because we will not be focusing on our attacks with spells. Instead, most of our spell slots will actually go into Bless. Our attacks will actually happen from our range attacks, so we want relatively high Dexterity. We want 16 Constitution just so that we can save our concentration saving throws so we don't break concentration on Bless. 10 Strength is nice for just a little bit of extra carry weight and maybe a little bit of a jump distance. You can change it into some other point if you wish. So let's get into the rest of the levels, though first I should mention that for your first level cleric spells, you should choose Healing Word, Command, Sanctuary, and Shield of Faith. But for our second level, we will be actually multiclassing into a Ranger. Reason being, we want to get extra attacks so that we get more versatility with our actions. And we also get additional proficiencies with weapons. For the favorite enemy, it doesn't really matter what you pick here, it won't have much of an effect, so just pick whichever one you want. For the Natural Explorer, we actually want Wisdom whether Fire or Poison, these two being arguably one of the best ones to pick. For abilities, you can keep this unchanged or put it into Survival so that you have easier time finding those buried chests. For our level 3, we'll be picking 2 Ranger spells, which will be Long Strider and Enhanced Sleep. Long Strider is great for additional movement speed, while Enhanced Sleep is great for mobility during combat or exploring outside of combat. For our fighting style, we will be picking Archery, as our attacks will mostly be consisting of ranged attacks. For level 4, we are picking additional Ranger spells, so in this case I will just pick Slaying Strike. You can go whichever one you want, it doesn't really all that matter here. For our subclass, we will be picking Ranger Hunter, and the Hunter Spray will be Colossal Slayer. Because Colossal Slayer is a nice additional source of damage, because when you hit a target that has less than the maximum points of HP, you deal an additional 1d8 damage to it. For level 5, we get our first feat, usually later than normally. We will be choosing Ability Improvement and putting it into Dexterity so that we have a higher chance of hitting the targets with our ranged attacks. For level 6, for a spell, we'll be picking Spike Growth. It is a great area denial spell, which slows down enemies and damages them as they walk through it. This is also our last Ranger spell because we are getting extra attack now. For level 7, we are going back to our Cleric. Here we don't really have much of a choice what to pick, so we will just go with the spells I mentioned earlier. On level 8, we unlock our second level spells for the Cleric. Here, instead of the Guiding Bolt, you can choose something like Warding Bond, Enhanced Ability, or anything else you may like. I like Warding Bond or Enhanced Ability. For level 9, we unlock an additional cantrip. So here, you don't really have access to that many great ones. Thaumaturgy is great for main characters, which this character most likely isn't. Sacred Flame is kind of unreliable. Blade Ward, we will already have access to it in a much better form, so we could just pick Produce Flame. For additional spells, here I would suggest picking either Warding Bond or Enhanced Ability. Pick the one that you didn't choose in the previous level. Of course, you can just exchange it whatever you need. For our feat, I will be picking Crossbow Expert, because we mostly will be dealing our ranged damage with our ranged attacks, and we will be most likely using a certain crossbow. This is a really good feat to have if somebody does rush you and they're in melee range, so you can still shoot them. Alternatively, you could pick Warcaster here to get concentration saving throws advantage, but I don't think it is necessary. As you will see, one of our items keeps the bless maintained, sort of keeps it going. For level 10, we unlock our third level spells, so instead of the Guiding Bolt again, we'll be picking Mass Healing Word. Now, I will show you the great synergy between Healing Word and Mass Healing Word with some of our items that we have. For level 11, we can pick another third level spell, or maybe even a second level spell. Here, I would most likely choose, if I'm in Act 3, I would pick Light, which you most likely will be at level 11 in Act 3. So I will actually pick Light. Or you can pick Spirit Guardian is a great choice, Glyph Warding is another really good choice. Hold Person can be also really decent, though you have to take into consideration you have low Wisdom. And finally, for our level 12, we will be picking one of our 4th level spells, which will be Freedom of Movement. You will most likely spend all of your 4th level spells on this to buff the rest of your party, though you will have access to 1 level 5 spell and 3 level 4 spells. Alright, let's get into the equipment for this character. So for our helmet, we're going with Vampir's Crown. When healing another, the wearer gains 1d6 hit points. This is here just to essentially reduce the number of healing this character needs. It has great synergy with one of the items later. I will mention when we get to that item. So for the cloak, we're going with Cloak of Protection. Although it doesn't matter which cloak you pick, you can honestly go with anything or just nothing. This character doesn't really need a cloak, to be honest. For our armor, I went with Adamantium Split Armor. Like the cloak, you can just put any heavy armor you want on this character, just to increase their armor class, or medium armor for that as well. I chose Adamantium Splint as I had one lying around, and it's also nice because it gives you the intense Adamantine Backlash. When a melee attack hits you, the attacker is rolling for 3 turns, and the attackers can't land critical hits on the wearer. For our gloves, in Act 3 I went with Reviving Hands. When you heal a creature against the effect of Blade Ward, and when you revive a creature against the effect of Death Ward. These gloves are an upgrade to the Hell Rider's Pride, but essentially they are the same item. They do the same thing when you heal a creature. To get the Hell Rider's Pride, you actually need to either pickpocket Zevlor or loot it off of him if he is dead. The easiest way to get this is by pickpocketing him. When you enter the grove, Zevlor and Aradin will be arguing. In the dialogue, as you go through it, you will get an option to melee attack one or the other, or just use some of the other dialogue skills, or just to choose the last option, which will be, I believe, Stand and Watch, in which case I think every time Aradin will just knock out Zevlor, and you can just pickpocket him while he's knocked out. If you fail the pickpocket, he won't get aggroed as he doesn't know he's being pickpocketed, he's unconscious. So that's the sort of easiest way and the fastest way you can get these gloves. For our boots, we went with Boots of Aid and Comfort. When a wearer heals a target, it gains additional 3 temporary hit points. This is useful just to increase the minimum number of hit points you heal something or someone. For our amulet, we went with Pripyat of Wound Closure. When down, automatically stabilize at the start of the turn, so essentially you can't go into the Red Skull territory, you will just stabilize and just wait on the ground. Whenever you're healed, you restore the maximum number of hit points possible. This works really good with the Vampir's Crown. It will make it so it heals the wearer every time for 6 hit points, further reducing the number of healing you need. And also, if this character gets wounded or gets to the point where it has like 10 hit points left, you can just drink, let's say, a potion of superior healing, and you restore 40 plus 3 because of the amulet and the boots. For the Ring of Salving, you restore additional 2 hit points every time you heal another creature. Again, useful for increasing the minimum number of hit points you restore when healing yourself or others. I should also note the amulet you find in the Githyanki Crash on Lady Esther, of who you have to purchase it from, and these boots and the ring I believe you buy from the dwarf lady in the Myconid colony. For our second ring, we are going with Whispering Promise. When you heal another creature, it gains 1d4 bonus to attack rolls and saving throws for 2 turns. This ring and these gloves were great in the combination of, for example, Healing Word and Mass Healing Word, as you can either give one character that's further away Blade Word and Bless, or you can give a large group of characters Blade Word and Bless. Example, really useful in the Moonrise Tower fight, because you can buff all of the Harpers and Flaming Fists with Blade Word and Bless for 2 turns. For our weapons, we're going with the Staff of Arcane Blessing, which gives us Mistress Blessing. Bless grants an additional 1d4 bonus to saving throws and attack rolls, and additional 2d4 bonus to spell attack rolls. Which means, when you cast Bless, this on top of the Bless itself adds an additional effect that lasts for 10 turns, which is called Mistress Blessing. And this has a really nice sort of mechanic where if you stop concentrating on Bless or your concentration gets broken, Mistress Blessing will remain for the full duration of 10 turns, which just makes the Bless itself infinitely more better, because you're guaranteed for those 10 turns to have the additional Bless, which is actually more powerful because of these spell attack rolls. For our shield, I went with Safeguard Shield, plus 2 armor and plus 1 saving throw. Pretty self-explanatory, increases your chances of saving and gives you free armor. For the crossbow, I went with Herald. This is probably one of my more favorite crossbows in the game, as I really like the Bane effect, which has the character you apply this on has a 1d4 penalty to attack rolls and saving throws, meaning they have a lower chance of hitting you, and also they have a lower chance of saving, for example, against spells or effects like Disarm. Alternatively, you can use the Giant Breaker. Your weapon hits hard enough to send your target's rolling for 2 turns. You can use this to stack it up, so the target has -1 penalty attack rolls for every turn remaining, but I would just probably go with Herald to get bait. You can, for alternatives, if you want a crossbow, a longbow or shortbow, use the Bow of the Banshee to frighten targets, or Gonter Mal to possibly inflict Guiding Bolt. Though you should note that if you use shortbow or longbow, the crossbow expert feat will not apply. So I suggest sticking with Herald or Giant Breaker. Right, and the sort of amulet you can use in conjunction with this one is, let's say you start the day with this equipped, so you get a free Healing Word and Mass Healing Word spell, and if this character is in trouble, you can just equip the Prepare for Wound Closure and then just heal yourself if you are in trouble. So here we are again, a good old Flaming Fist Barracks for another battle showcase. So generally it's a good idea to cast Bless before battle, like in this case I already did. So as we can see here, we have Blessing itself and we have Mistress Blessing from our staff. Now to show the interesting mechanic behind the staff and its blessing, if for whatever reason you stop concentrating on Bless, the blessing of the staff actually remains, which makes it a lot more useful since it doesn't require concentration to remain there. Now for our bonus section, we can decide here, do we want to apply a coating to our weapon, or perhaps is somebody exposed or surrounded by enemies and we want to give them Blade Word, or perhaps we have a big group of allies, for example, and we want to give them all Blade Word. In this case, I will just use Mass Healing Word to get everybody Blade Word and Bless for 2 turns, as you can see. For our action, we have a choice. If somebody is wounded and we want to heal them, we can throw healing potions at them. And because of our extra attack, we can throw 2 of them. Or we can just use a weapon attack to just attack somebody twice. In this case, and you can combo these any way you want. So let's say I just do 1 weapon attack and then I can throw a health potion. Right, you have a lot more versatility than with just 1 action or just 1 attack. So yeah, that's it. That's the combat showcase, that's the build, that's the video. I hope you enjoy. I hope you'll leave some comments down below for any questions or suggestions. I would like to improve this more than... Well, there is always more room for improvement. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good one and take care.